you do it. Welcome to Merrily Merrill. This is the part where I forget what I'm saying, and today is going to be a very special episode, not necessarily dealing with mermaids, but thank you so much.
Let's just down the other. Very, very good.
You're lovely, thank you. But today, we're actually going to address the origins of Merrily Merrill in a very different sense. Those of you who know me know that I had been a chef at an Irish pub for almost 5 years, and I recently, they recently made a post about the anniversary at this pub, and I was, of course, shocked and appalled to find myself cropped out of the photo that they put on their page. It made me start thinking back on exactly the things that had happened, and despite how it ended, working at an Irish pub for so long had a huge and profound impact on my life and my creativity. And I don't know if you're actually going to be able to hear this. There's live music, and I think I'm talking pretty quiet, so and I wrote a script for this, which I don't think I've ever written a script for any of these videos, but and I look terrible. I just came from the vet. I had to take my cat to the vet, but while I was at the vet, I saw this post, and I didn't at first really know what to do about it or why it bothered me. It's just a post celebrating that their Fremont location had opened, you know, I believe it was the 19th of January, but today's the 27th. That makes no, never mind. I haven't been on that Instagram in a minute. But when I saw this, it obviously welled up a bunch of emotions. First of all, I laughed. I laughed really hard because you can still see my hand in the corner of the picture. But the fact that they posted all of these pictures about Fremont, and I was there for like 5 years, I think probably it was that way for many reasons, and I don't hold it against them. I love the family and I love the business, and it isn't a matter of being angry at them. It's just upsetting looking back on my history with their pub and seeing such a vastly different picture. My mermaiding kind of started when I was working at the pub, and I was also volunteering at the East West Bookshop, which was a New Age bookshop run by Ananda. Then we can get into that later, but Shay was also working at the bookshop, and she was a mermaid, so she got me into it, and I was like, I have this great idea, I'll make the mermaid Irish. Why wouldn't she be Irish? At this time, I thought I was Irish. So this was the plan, and I think like Halloween was my first Uwata cosplay, if you will. Being an Irish Marrow, and eventually it developed into the character that she was. But I think that the Irish culture got in a myriad of ways, and it's partially because this place had such a profound impact on my life. And so I'm gonna read from my script and hope that you can hear it, and hope that you know, I don't know, and maybe I'll do a slideshow or something. When we first opened, it was a small crew, and I was training under one of the chefs from the other locations. I had never been a chef before, and they knew that, but they said they would be happy to train me from the ground up. It was in beautiful Fremont. In the earlier days, the crew and I would write quotable quotes on the whiteboard. Cod puns, at first on the pans of cod that we did for like the fish and chips, but eventually they made it to our trash can collection. So for a while, I would get a beer on Wednesdays and draw the session while they played. Then several things happened, and I embarked on a 3.5-year sobriety stretch with encouragement, of course. That helped me turn what was probably budding alcoholism into being able to have an occasional drink and be in control, you know, and it's something that I still actively work on. So if I hadn't have had that piece of my life, I might not be able to have that under control. So I'm very grateful for that. There were so many things that were a part of my life that never made it into anything but my Facebook and my memories. You know, it never made it onto anyone's Instagram, and my perception of the things that happened were so different than, of course, what was portrayed, which is how it works, you know. To see this milestone recounted makes me sad, not only because I had been a part of it, but because it had been such a profound part of my life. I mean, nobody loved that place like I did. They loved their business, but, you know, the weekly specials and the sessions, and the Penn State games and the Kayleys. You know, to see myself removed from their picture was seeing myself removed from their lives. And yes, it is a business, and they are just carrying on as businesses do, but it wasn't like that for me. You know, I helped open that place. I helped develop their online menu. I got to do catering events with Bill, with Chef Peter, and Solo. My sous chef and I had developed the breakfast box tea menu, and we had a development for the breakfast menu that we were kind of like the flagship for the breakfast menu, right? I went fishing with their family. I went to their wedding. I ran the kitchen, just me and one other cook during the pandemic when the rest of the restaurants were closed. And then, of course, there was the St. Patty's Day. You know, the St. Patty's Days were chaos, and I absolutely loved it, and I would just work myself to the bone and be stressed out and totally manic, but I loved it, and I will always love that. So it's difficult to see that part of my life, like, now feasibly gone. I mean, it was over, you know, but I'm glad that I had it, and I'm glad I don't regret any of it, and I think that it ended in such a complicated way that I don't hold it against anyone, and I hope they don't hold it against me, but I regret that I was completely erased from it. So that's part one. And I did get this here. So I got this here pint and this here pint and this mac and cheese. And why am I eating mac and cheese? You might ask, especially if I try not to eat dairy. Well, I'm glad you asked, Internet, because I will tell you. In a few days from now, it is going to be, I never pronounce it right, it's in Bulk, and it's basically the day for St. Brigid, and Brigid or Breed, or the bride, was a Celtic goddess who got turned into a saint over time. Basically, she represented kind of the breaking of like the dark times of winter. You know, obviously January it can be dark, and people in olden times were kind of living off their stores, and there weren't as many fresh sources of protein, and there weren't as many fresh vegetables and things like that. But when it came to the season where the lambs and the cattle started to bear young, they would have milk and cheese again, and so it is very much like a holiday around milks and cheeses and dairy, and of course you know, lamb meat and things like that, which if you're vegetarian it doesn't really apply, but it probably still applies to the Irish. But so I'm eating this, and I'm just grateful for I'm grateful to be able to celebrate. I'm grateful to have the have the experience that I've been given, even if it's over. So, and I'm just grateful. But it's always sad.